Okay, welcome. This is I Had No Idea podcast presented by Lilac Entertainment. Today I'm joined with a very special guest. I have Ardyn here. She is someone that I think we have known each other since, is it middle school?
No, I think it was my sophomore year, like
Oh,
freshman or sophomore year.
okay, cool. So we've known
hmm
each other for a minute.
Yeah.
And I think you've always been someone that is very upbeat. I think you've always been very welcoming, and you've always had a smile on your face. So I think that just goes a long way. And um, I know we have kind of known each other, and then we got closer a little bit, and then we kind of faded away. But I just want to say thank you for being open and for being willing to come on this podcast and help me out. So
Yeah. I'm
thank
happy
you.
to be here.
So what I don't know what you recently moved to Kansas City.
Yes.
So how is that? How are you feeling? How's the change? Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing really well with it. I really enjoy living out here. I've gotten a lot more like peaceful. Like you and I kind of talking about that. I think the only thing that I really miss about living in Lawrence is like the sense of community. There was
Okay.
always a really good sense of community and like having like your neighbors or having close friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like in Lawrence, you go down to like the St. Patrick's Day parade,
Hmm.
everybody's there. The
Yep.
Sandbar block party, everybody's there. So
Right.
like that sense of community is something that I definitely really miss. Like I don't think that is as
Strong.
relevant here. Yeah,
Okay.
strong here.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the only thing that I miss about Lawrence.
Okay. Nice.
So yeah, but other than that, I love living out here.
Yeah. Are you, I guess kind of jumping into it, are you happy right now? I know it's kind of
Um,
a deep question. It's kind of layered.
I would say that right now I've started to become more happy. I
Mm.
think that for a long time, I didn't really know what that looked like. And
Hmm.
then once I moved, I've been able to start seeing what that could look like for me
Hmm.
and how I could achieve it.
Nice.
hmm
My therapist told me something that blew my mind. She was, I was when I moved back, it was very hard, and when I'd come from Colorado, it was also I was kind of like in a really weird time,
hmm
and my therapist was basically saying, I was trying to explain to her that, this used to make me happy, or this, and I was kind of chasing that old feeling, and
hmm
she said, Nico, what you find happiness in is going to change, and it's not going to be what you found happiness in 2 years ago, or when you were in college, or when you were in high school.
Yeah.
And that was a huge moment for me because it felt weird because I was back in Lawrence.
hmm
I'd been out for I think 3-ish years,
hmm
3.5 years. So it was strange, and then the old relationships were there, and the family's there. So that blew my mind, and whatever makes me happy now might not make me happy later, and that really put in perspective to me that I've always tried to be someone who lives in the moment,
Uh-huh.
but I wasn't living like that anymore. I was worried about the past. I was anxious about the future, and really just thinking, yeah, I am happy in this moment,
hmm
and living in the moment and being aware of that has really been a game changer for me, especially moving back and kind of coming back to myself.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
That did kind of like resonate. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I really like that. Living in the moment is really hard because, like,
yes,
I feel like in like now we're watching people getting married and
mm-hmm,
having kids
mm-hmm,
and graduating, getting their degrees and stuff. And like in a way, I feel like I'm behind. I'm like
mm,
I'm not like doing everything that everybody else says. You
right,
know what I mean?
right,
But I'm happy. I have a
yeah,
roof over my head. I have food in my
healthy,
refrigerator. I'm
yeah,
healthy. Like I have everything that I need. So like the comparison is definitely like been a thief. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Is
yeah.
and I guess in that way for me. So I do need to be like more present with myself and what I
Mm-hmm.
have now.
And
So
proud. And I think something that I think I want to push a lot of, like, giving people flowers when they deserve it, but as well as giving yourself flowers,
mhm.
patting yourself on the back. I think as a growing up, I heard that a lot, the phrase, pat yourself on the back.
Mhm.
And I feel like as I got older, I don't know if it just kind of faded away, or just our society kind of just shifted gears and was, forget that. Just it became more of a hustle grind and just, get after it. And it almost felt like if you weren't making it at a certain age, or you weren't doing what everyone else was doing, you fell off,
No,
you
yeah,
know?
and that's exactly kind of how I feel. But all those like silly sayings, like when you were younger, like now that I'm older, I'm like those make sense. Like
Yeah,
that, like to pat yourself on the back, like
yeah,
those just like silly sayings. But like now I'm like, no, those are like really good self affirmations to give
yeah,
yourself. You know what I mean? They may sound silly, but the more you repeat those things to yourself, the more that they are resonating with you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Are affirmations something that you practice with? That there's a fly in here, bruh. Oh my goodness. Hopefully it goes out the window. Um, uh, I'm sorry. Is there? Yeah. Is that something that you practice? Do you use journaling? Do you meditate? Do you use exercise? Do you have a therapist? How do you kind of
Mhm.
walk through and get through these just you know challenges that you face?
I've been in therapy for a really long time. So that was something I feel like everybody needs therapy to help
Hmm.
like either cope or get like skills to like manage everyday life because
Mm.
life is hard,
Yeah.
especially when you're an adult. Like
Yeah.
life gets to be really difficult. And I think having a therapist and having somebody that's not, your family or your friends that are directly in the situation to talk to about, things that you're struggling with and, outlets for those things is a really good thing. So I've been
Mm.
in therapy for a long time. I don't go as much as I used to. I used to do every week, but I've kind of slowed down and
Hmm.
only gone, going once a month now. But I found that I really enjoy walking and being
Mm.
outside.
Yeah.
So this summer I've started to paddleboard, and
Cool.
yeah, so that's been
That's new.
yeah, it's super new, and it's been really like it's so calm because I don't have my phone on me.
Mm.
I'm in the middle of the lake, and
You're with
it's just
nature.
me.
Yeah.
Is with nature and with my thoughts, and I'm able to just be in the moment in that way.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is really beautiful.
And have you been with like the same therapist for the past 4 years?
So I didn't actually start seeing her until 2 years ago. The one that I had a therapist prior, and we just didn't work out. We just didn't
Yeah.
vibe. And I
Yeah.
think that's also what kind of like drives people away is like you have to find that person that you
100%.
click with. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's hard to like go in, tell your life story to one person. You're like, okay,
Mhm.
I don't like this. This
Mhm.
is much. And then go to another person and
Mhm.
tell your life story to that
Mhm.
person. So,
Yeah. I 100% get you. I had to go through a lot, and I finally just kind of felt exhausted. And
mm-hmm,
I was thinking to myself, I'm not gonna, it's not for me. Don't want to do it. And then when James passed away, Mindy Downs, you might know her. Her daughter's Michaela Downs.
I know Michaela.
Yeah, so
Mm-hmm,
her mom works at Burt Nash, and she's an amazing person. And
mm-hmm,
she reached out and was like, hey, no pressure, but I have experience with this kind of things, and I work with all types of different people and backgrounds and different um, just situations, and I'm always here
mm-hmm,
for you. And at that point in my life, I was still someone who was very much of, I'm gonna do it by myself. I got myself.
mm-hmm,
I'm here for myself. I can push through. And then I turned the rock around when I realized, people reaching out and giving their support is a form of love.
mm-hmm,
And I try to accept love in all ways, and I try to be accepting in any way I can. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm gonna start accepting people's love, and then that's when I decided also to move back to Kansas to be with my family, to be with James's family, and because I have a support system here. I really didn't have anything in Colorado, so that was a huge shift. So I definitely understand that. And how did you find your current therapist? How was that process?
Um, so when I was younger, I went to a lot of mental hospitals, and I had went to a long term one, and she was my therapist at that
Oh, cool.
place. So I already kind of knew her. So when I was on, like Find My Psychiatrist,
Hmm.
that website, she came across, and I, sent her a message, and
Mm.
she like immediately got back to me, and she had like a wait list too.
Oh,
So thank God, that she was
yeah,
able to get me in, and like, we just clicked and stuff. And it was kind of after Sebastian had passed away, and I just really, really needed help
yeah,
navigating. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um,
That's awesome. The universe said, you know what? I got you.
yeah, no,
Here's your old
exactly,
therapist.
exactly. That's how I felt, and it's weird because she had something similar happen to her.
Mm,
She had a boyfriend pass away when she was young,
mm,
so I was able to really connect with her and
mm,
really get some good advice because she had already gone through that,
mm-hmm,
many years earlier. But I was able to because when your boyfriend passes away and it's not your husband and you weren't married to them for a long time or you weren't with them for a long time, people don't really have an understanding. You know what I mean? So talking to her, it was like she was with a boyfriend and they weren't married, and so
yeah.
I was able to like
Really connect
connect
on
and
that deeper
feel,
level.
okay. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like my feelings about this are valid.
You felt
You know what
heard.
I mean? It hurt, very
Yeah.
hurt. Yes. So and I love her. I tell her every time I leave, like, I love you,
Mm,
you know,
that's
because I do
amazing.
love her, you
Yeah,
know.
that's
So
amazing.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
insane. Mindy lost a friend in Lawrence too when
really.
she was younger,
Hmm.
which is, and with so you do you when you see her, do you go on walks with her?
No, we don't, because the area that she's in Lawrence is just kind of, it's like just behind Mass Street,
Oh,
and so
okay.
we can't really walk
Oh,
over
so you
there.
just go to
So
her
I just go
place.
to her,
Okay,
like her little office, and we just talk and stuff.
nice.
So yeah.
Do you I know you kind of touched on this already, but do you recommend therapy and counseling for people who are I heard this saying where, the best time to go to therapy and counseling is when you don't need it. Because that's when
Okay.
you realize that you need it. And then you
Mhm.
have it. And then you have that kind of tool. So then when shit hits the fan, you're not scrambling to find someone.
Yeah.
You can kind of have someone. So do you think everyone should go to counseling? Do you think people should test it out? Well, what's kind of your stance on
I
that?
think everybody should go to counseling. I think everybody has had some sort of trauma or something that they either need to work through or get skills to
Yeah.
like manage everyday life. Like, you can look at a family and think, oh, they're fine, they're perfect,
Hmm.
but they have their own struggles and they have their own things that I'm sure that they need to work out. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So I think it's good for everybody to just manage their lives or to process things, because I think like we don't, like, I don't know, I just think that like sometimes you don't know how to process things or how to like understand what was right that happened to you when you were younger, or what was wrong, you
Hmm.
know what I mean, like
Hmm.
how to like process, really. I think it's just a
Hmm.
good processing tool, and I think it's good just for coping and things like that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
especially like when the shit hits the fan, like if you've never had like a traumatic death, you don't
Hmm.
know how to deal with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree, and I think it's hard because I think a lot of times for myself going into them, I was thinking, oh, this person's gonna judge, or they've never had a
Mhm.
situation like this, and then you just gotta take a step back and think, they see hundreds of people
Mhm.
a month, maybe maybe not hundreds, but they see lots and lots of people.
Right.
Most of the time, therapists are not just starting. You don't go to
Mhm.
someone who's just graduated from school or whatever. So, and there for a long time too, it was hard for me because I was feeling as if I was going somewhere, I was paying all this money. They were there, but they weren't really listening. And then if I didn't feel a certain type of way coming out of the therapy
Mhm.
session, I felt as if it was a waste.
Mhm.
So I think the angle that mine and I go through is so fitting for both of us. She
Mhm.
loves walking. Um,
Okay,
so
good.
we walk and talk. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a bit different. And this is something too where it's like even if you don't have a therapist and you have a friend or you have a family member, I strive people and I really encourage people to maybe try going on a walk and talking, maybe trying a
Mhm.
new craft, maybe making something. I heard men especially work a lot better and talking when they're doing something and when they're side by side
Okay.
instead of maybe um, sitting across from each other.
Mhm.
So, I think if people can just share more of what they do and their options and show that it's not just going in, sitting down, because you think of
Mhm.
therapy and you think you're going to go sit down on a weird couch,
Right.
you're going to look at the wall, they're going
You've
to,
got a pen and
yeah,
paper.
they're not talking, they're just writing things
Yeah.
down. So
Yeah.
I think that's still an old stereotype that I think needs to be broken and just shown that it's
Oh
so much
yeah,
more than that.
absolutely. I feel like you get a bond and you get a connection and almost a friendship with that person.
Yeah,
And obviously, like my therapist and I aren't going to dinner,
yeah,
every every
yeah,
week. But like I know I can confide in her, and I know I have a good relationship with her. And I think that I think it's good that you're talking about you going to therapy. I think a lot of men are very against going to therapy, and I
yeah,
think that there's almost not necessarily like an ego sort of thing, but like that I can get through this by myself. Like
yep,
I'm a man, I need to
yep.
get through this. Like so I think it's really good that you're talking about your experience with therapy, so that can, hopefully somebody else can think, okay, like if
Yeah,
he can do it, so can I,
yeah,
So
yeah.
I applaud you for that. That's really good.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. There's also I don't really like I've tried the online sessions, I know
Yeah.
BetterHelp is a big one. I know and
Mhm.
they're all probably great. They all have
Mhm.
good intentions. But for me personally, I just think it's better for myself to just have the human interaction,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A conversation on the phone every once in a while can be okay,
Mhm.
but I really think just being with that person, having that physical just um a, not appearance, just like knowing that they're there.
Yeah, no, I totally get that because like you can read the body language, like the facial expressions, like the tone in the voice, like doing it over Zoom or doing it on the phone, you don't really get that,
Mm-mm. Mm-hmm.
that connection with somebody. So yeah,
Yeah.
I do like the in person therapy because during COVID, when I was going to therapy, we were doing the Zoom, and I was
Mm.
like, oh god, I have to get on the Zoom, and
It's more of a
with
chore
my
almost.
no, exactly,
Yeah.
it's like a chore to get on,
It's
but
like homework or class, you
yeah,
know? I was like, huh, this
exactly,
isn't it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
I want to, if I may, ask about, with your situation, you obviously lost a loved one in your life, and Sebastian, and, I'm very sorry to hear that. It was, something that I kind of, didn't know. I think I was kind of late to getting the news.
Mm-hmm.
I had just seen, I think someone, maybe even yourself, post about it. And, if you're willing and down, if you can just kind of go through what that felt like, and that experience, and were people there for you, or were people reaching out, were people trying to send love your way?
um I had a lot of really good support. It was just it was really it was such a weird time. You know, him and I had gotten together during COVID, and we hadn't really met each other's families, um but we lived together. I mean, Sebastian and I met, and within 3 months we'd moved in together, and we were really serious, and when he passed away, it was just so sudden, and it was really hard. I had never felt, I've never dealt with death in my whole life. And then it was, my boyfriend. And so, um, navigating like me and going through my grief as well as like his family and my family and friends and things like that, it was just really hard to connect with his side, like his mom and his dad and like his friends. It was just really difficult. I just didn't really know them, and then I just popped up, and here I am as the girlfriend of, I think it was like almost 10 months.
Yeah, right.
So it was hard, but my family were
Excuse me.
incredibly supportive, and um, I think something that I kind of like messed up with, uh, my grieving process, I just turned to alcohol and turned to going out, and I turned to just not taking care of myself in
Mm,
any way. And I felt like a lot of my friends at that time were just giving me a bottle and not
mm,
giving me a conversation. We weren't
mm,
talking about why I was drinking the way, you know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
And
Because before that, you weren't drinking as much.
I wasn't drinking. I wasn't drinking at all prior to
Oh,
that.
okay.
I wasn't drinking at all.
Yeah,
And
I was gonna say I don't remember you'd ever had. Yeah.
right. So, I had just turned to alcohol pretty heavily. And I think that a lot of my friendships from Lawrence had kind of just fallen off.
Mm,
I was just like, this is just not healthy. Like, me being here is not healthy anymore. Just being in the same town
mm,
that it had happened,
mm-hmm,
and, just being around the same people and the same, I'd go out and I would see his friends, and it would be a little bit of a talk, and then that was it. But it was like, I wanted more out of the conversation. Like, whenever I would talk to his friends, I wanted to know more about who he was.
mm,
You know what I mean? Like,
mm,
tell me what he was like in high school. Like, tell
mm,
me, like what was fun things that you guys had done together. Like, I want to know everything that I can about
mm,
him. And like when I did hear stories, I just loved them. I loved hearing about the person that he was like outside of me, and prior to COVID. It was just like,
mm.
um, he was just such a good person.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
I met him at LGA way back in the day, and we would always talk clothes,
Oh
and
yeah.
that was when like we were big into Vans, and we would always just kind of play around, and he'd be like, "Yo, those are kind of busted." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Bro, I'm going to LGA. What? I'm not trying to wear my best shoes to LGA, dog," because they were getting stolen sometimes and stuff,
Oh yeah, I remember.
And yeah, I just remember him always being so positive, and him and James had a pretty good relationship for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I know it's crazy running into people who went to Free State, and had different connections with them, and kind of connecting with them. It's crazy how just it feels like, oh, you blink and things happen.
100%.
You know?
And it's always, like, you just never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And especially like in Lawrence, there's that big sense of community, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Like a lot of people knew Sebastian, a lot of people knew James, like it, and when things like that happen in the community, you can feel it. Like you can feel when those tragedies happen.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah. There's been a lot of loss recently too in
yeah,
Lawrence, which is hard.
which is
Young loss
which
too.
they're very young kids. It was so sad. And my brother, he's 18, and I've never felt scared for
Mm.
him until like recently, and I was never hoping to feel that
Yeah.
about Lawrence because I
Yeah.
always thought, it was such a good place to grow up and stuff. And the only time ever the shootings or whatever, it'd be people coming from Topeka, coming
Kansas City.
from
Yep.
Kansas City,
Yeah.
So then to hear that it's Lawrence kids against Lawrence kids doing it is just insane to me.
Yeah.
So,
Same school and everything. You know what I mean? Just like,
how could you? I
yeah.
don't understand.
Yeah.
So
It's sad. It really is.
it's really sad.
Is there, can you talk about a time that it was really rough, maybe mentally, you weren't in the best state, that, during that time, maybe you were thinking, I don't know if I'm going to get through this. I don't know if this is going to, how this is going to end. And then, you obviously push through and you're here now. And can you kind of just um, talk about a time that was really difficult, and what kind of helped you get past that and push through? Was it a friend? Was it a book? Was it a podcast? Was it, self love?
Um, definitely, it was when I was a lot younger. I had gotten put into foster care,
Okay.
and that was definitely a time in my life that I was like taken away from my siblings and my parents, and it was definitely something that I felt like I wasn't going to get through. I didn't know how I was going to
Mm,
get through it. I was taken to somebody's, like, this random people's house, to live with them until I was 18. And then when I was 18, what was I going to do then? So I think that what hurt me the most in that aspect was being taken away from my siblings and
mm,
not having, a relationship with my siblings until we grew up.
mm,
We got a little older, and really, my grandma helped me through all that. My grandma has been the biggest backbone in my life.
mm,
She's never, judged me or looked at me any different after all these years,
mm,
and um, I don't think I would ever make it without her. I don't think I would still be here if I didn't have her.
yeah.
So, and when I was younger, I was just angry. I was so angry at the world, and I put her through so much, and at the end of the day, she'll answer my phone call and make sure that I'm okay. And I don't like feel like I tell her enough how much I love her and how much I appreciate her for never giving up on me, because a lot of other people did.
Mm.
So
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
I had no idea. Was that in high school when that had happened?
Yeah, I was 16.
Okay. And is
My
that when you had transferred then to LHS?
So I went to LHS until my junior year. So then I had my parents had placed me into foster care. We just didn't get along,
Yeah.
and there was just like a lot of emotional and mental abuse, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And I had gotten placed into foster care, and so like my junior year, I went to Leavenworth for 6 months
Oh,
and
okay.
was there for a little bit, and then after Leavenworth, I came back to Lawrence High, and I was just so angry. I didn't
Mm,
know, like, I didn't really have any direction, and I didn't really care to have any direction, and I didn't really care about life at
mm,
all. So that was really hard, navigating life at 16, and even still, like
yeah.
now, sometimes, like I have a lot of like um, anger towards my parents.
Yeah.
Um, so
That's I can't imagine that. Thank you for sharing. I didn't know. So let's backtrack a little bit.
hmm
You had you started your sophomore year at LHS.
yeah, my freshman
Oh,
year.
you're a freshman then. Okay, so then you were
Freshman.
you were a freshman sophomore,
hmm
and then beginning of junior you were in Leavenworth, and then came back,
hmm
and then senior year you were.
Incarcerated.
Oh,
yeah, I had gotten into some trouble,
Oh,
and I had went to jail the middle of senior year.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I did not know
That's
this.
okay.
Um,
That's okay.
I really had no idea. That is, what, if you may, if you feel open, what was that like? What was that experience? How long were you in?
I did 2 years. I got out when I was 20.
You did 2 years.
I did 2 years. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm
It's
just learning
okay.
this.
No, it's
I'm
okay.
Oh my goodness,
Uh,
wow, this is insane.
yeah, I've done 2 years. The first like 6 months of it was really hard. But I needed to go to jail. I needed it. I think that is another thing that saved me is because I had to sit down and I had to grow up and get over myself. You know what I mean? I was not doing um I wasn't doing well. I wasn't being kind to others. I wasn't being kind to myself. Like I was not being a great person,
Mm.
and what I had gotten in
Excuse me.
trouble for was completely inexcusable,
Mm.
and I deserved to go to jail
Mm.
100%. And sitting down really made me think like I was around all these other women, they're in their 30s, they're in their 40s, their 50s, they don't have a house, they don't have a car, they don't have anything to show for their lives or for themselves. And I was like, I don't want to be like this.
Right.
Addicted to drugs, they don't have their custody of their kids, like they just don't have any like a life, I guess.
Right.
And I was
Right.
like, I don't want to do this. Like I need to turn my life around.
Yeah.
And so I needed to sit down, and I think if I did not go to jail, I would have become. I don't
Yes.
even know. I
Yeah.
don't even know. I wouldn't be here today, and I guess like successful in the way that I am successful. So
Wow. That's powerful. That that speaks very, very. I mean, to for you to be able to look at that experience and think highly of it, and think, positively towards it, and being so open with yourself that it was something that you needed, is shows a lot of strength. So I applaud you for that. That's awesome. You know, I bet there was a lot of judgment from people in your life.
oh yeah.
And were there a lot of people when you came out of that situation that were very, on one hand, was there a lot of supportive people, and on the other hand, there were a lot of, I don't want to associate with you.
Mhm.
Maybe they mislabeled you after that.
Mhm. I honestly, I had stayed off my phone for the first couple months that I was out because I felt like getting on my phone would have been so overstimulating. Like seeing how everybody was, and like I just stayed off my phone, stayed off of social media because I was like, I need to reconnect with my family. I need to reconnect with my close friends. Like I need to like readjust even to not being incarcerated and having all this freedom. So I was off my phone, and I want to say for the most part, I got a lot of support, and my friends and I were able to reconnect on a deeper level. I feel like
Mm,
because I wasn't a shitty person and I wasn't doing shitty things anymore. So I feel
yeah.
like it almost like made the relationship that I had with my family and with my friends a lot stronger.
Mm,
I know there's some people that have said some stuff, and they can say what they would like to, but at the end of the day, like I'm still going to do what I'm doing. Like,
yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
not really going to change the narrative of my life.
Yeah.
So I just never really let that stuff affect me because, like, I know what I went through,
Yeah.
and I know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And, if it's something that we're still talking about these 5, 6 years later, then
Yeah.
I don't need to talk to them. I don't need to have that conversation. And I don't owe anybody like an
No.
explanation,
Yeah. Definitely not.
So.
Never. Wow. Is was there When you were in, was there, anyone that you had a connection with? Was there a group? Was there a certain, maybe like an older sister vibe, or a relationship that you kind of still think about and you cherished?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So a lot of, when you're incarcerated with a bunch of women, and a lot of them were a lot older. I was always the youngest, because I was fresh 18 when I had gotten incarcerated, and so everybody was always pretty motherly,
Wow.
like, giving advice and things like that. So
A
it
lot
was
of their
always
kids were probably your age.
right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it was like a lot of the women that I had met were just, were just very sweet and very nice. One girl that I met, Her name was Raleigh, and unfortunately, she got deported back to Mexico. But we still
Oh,
talk. We
oh,
still have a pretty good relationship,
nice.
and yeah, I think about her often, and I always
Yeah,
think about, well, maybe I should just go down to Mexico and
yeah.
see. You know what I mean? Why not? Like, why
Is she
not go
out
see
now?
her? Yeah, she's out
Oh,
now. Yeah, so we
nice,
still talk, and we still,
nice.
she'll send pictures of stuff that she's doing down there, and we'll talk on the phone. Sometimes we
Wow.
talk on the phone for like an hour or two. So,
Yeah,
she's somebody that I definitely still think about a lot. And there's a lot of other women and people that I'd met while I was in there, and I don't remember their names, and I don't
right.
know how to reach out again. So, and then there's some people, that had reached out, but they were still doing, the thing that had locked them up, and I
Mm.
just don't really want to associate. You know what I mean?
You've been
So,
in. You're not trying to go
yeah,
back. You said, "Girl, I
period.
made it. I made it out."
Period.
Wow. Was it? I've always been intrigued by the Beyond Scary Straits, and
Uh huh.
were was it similar to those in the aspect of were with like the women? Was there gangs? Was there division of race? Was there a hierarchy?
No,
No.
not really. No, I mean, everybody had their groups and everybody just kind of stuck with their groups,
Okay.
and like definitely like the seniors of the pod, people that have been there the longest had,
Yeah.
they had the first dibs, like they had, and that was just like a respect thing, like you've
Yeah.
been here longest, like you deserve that basically, but I mean everybody got along, and there was like that catty girl stuff, like sometimes it felt like high school, just like there was almost like bullying sometimes and stuff, and then like the things that I felt were like so big, looking back at it, it was like just because she took my coffee, and I was like crying in my room, and
Oh.
mad about it. But
Yeah.
like thinking about that now, like it's a silly thing to be mad about,
Yeah.
But you had nothing else to do
Yeah.
but to like stew on the little things that were happening throughout the day.
Wow.
So
Wow. Did you have like a roommate?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
So was it just you and another girl, and then was it like bunk beds?
yeah. So you had like the metal bunks and like the toilet and the sink were like connected, and you like have like a really shitty mirror. You could see out your window.
Mm,
It's like it's pretty like in that aspect. It's really pretty like spot on
okay.
to what you see on the movies and stuff.
And the food was
So
kind of just like, eh. Yeah.
you just kind of like, and we would make our own food, so we get stuff off of commissary, and something
Mm.
that was really big was like we would get like tortillas and ramen and like this cheese squeeze sauce, and like if you were really had some money in your books, you could get this like Italian sausage and you'd make burritos.
Mm. Yummy. Sounds pretty
I thought it
good.
was so good. Sometimes they put pork
Yeah.
rinds in it. It was I don't think I'd eat that now,
Oh
but
yeah.
back then it was like this is good,
I was gonna say, did you ever, ever for fun just make it again at home?
when I first got out,
You
I
craved
had
it.
made it. Yeah, I craved it. I was like, come on, I need this stuff in the grocery store.
Wow.
But
Wow.
you could like make cakes out of like Oreos and stuff like that. You just like crush it all up and put a little bit of water and like
Yeah.
the frosting. Yeah. So it was definitely like different. Like
Yeah.
now, but you have to be like resourceful with what you
Yeah.
have. You know what I mean? So
Were you allowed visitors or anything?
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
what is that same thing where you go up to a plexiglass and you have a phone and
Mhm.
you would have 15 minutes?
Yeah. For 30, we'd had 30.
Okay. And was
Uh-huh.
that like a once a week thing? Was that a
Yeah, you could do it. No, not once a week. You could do it every day of the week, but there were different time slots that you could do it. So
so then did how'd you contact the people to tell them what time?
they would just sign up. They
Oh,
would they would just sign up
and then
and
they'd
do it.
say, hey,
Panel, you have
yeah,
a visitor. Yeah, yeah.
oh, you know, you know, you've had you have a lot of experience and insight in that world
Mhm.
that I think a lot of people don't get.
Mhm.
So I think it's great that you're so open about it, and I think it's powerful that you had connections and you had relationships in there, and you were able to what it sounds like, make the most of it.
Yeah. And like a lot of people go through really, 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 really tough things, and I think some people will, like blame their mistakes, like, oh well, this happened to me and this is why I act the way that I do. This happened to me and this is why I'm lashing out, or this is why I behave like I think, or this is why I can't achieve something, this is why I can't go somewhere, like
Mm,
because this happened to me. But like you can do whatever you set your mind to.
Mm.
Like you can do whatever you set your mind to. And
Mm.
that's one of those silly, things that we heard growing
Yeah.
up. But like literally, like if you just keep like making all these excuses for yourself, like you're just not going to go anywhere and you're going to still be stuck in the same little, mindset that, you just can't do anything because of something that's dragging you down. But like,
Mm.
don't let it drag you down. Just keep
Mm.
going. You have to keep going. You have to
Yeah.
keep going. Because you just like, one, you don't have an option. And then two, like, you just have to make the most of your life. Like,
Yeah.
So I just think that that was just so important to me. Like when I got out, I was like, okay, I have to make something of myself. Like I have
Yeah.
to do something with my life. Like this is important to me. And it's been really hard being like a felon and finding an apartment and finding a job and
Mm.
finding all these things. And like it was so discouraging sometimes, like the
Mm.
responses that I would get from some
Mhm.
people, like applying to apartments or applying to jobs. Like they would just look at me like I was a monster, and you know
Mm.
what I mean? But I just never stopped. Like I never stopped trying to find a place to live or
Mm.
a job. And now I work at a dental office and I'm doing
Mm.
pretty well. And
Got your own place?
I have my own place, I have my
Yeah.
own car. So like there were so many times that was so discouraging, but I was like, but if I stop right now, I'm never gonna have it.
Yeah, you
So I
kept
have to
pushing.
keep trying.
Yeah.
So
The crazy quote of I've what it's that Kim K quote you heard online, like I've come this far to I didn't come this far just to come this far. You know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah, no,
That's what made me think of
exactly.
that.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, 100%.
What what did you tell yourself when you were in when you were locked up? What did you kind of think? What kept you going every day? Was there any, you
I
know
really wanted to see my grandma.
mm,
I really wanted to hug my grandma, and I really just wanted to like just be with her. And I thought was something that like it was hurt. You know what I mean? How much
mm,
I just wanted to like hug her and be with her. And I think, and she'd answer every single phone call every single day, and she'd come visit whenever. And it just like that was like
mm,
it was her.
yeah. Hey,
I
shout out grandma.
know, shout out grandma. She's the sweetest.
What a
she's
real
just
one.
she's just the best.
Yeah,
She's really just the best.
that's amazing. Arden, thank you so much. I had no idea about so much of what has happened in your life. Thank you for being so open and honest and strong. You have definitely been through a lot of things that I think people can take and learn from.
I hope so.
Learn from your
Yeah.
stories, learn from your experience. I think they can really feel your emotion and your love for almost this not second chance, but this realization of that this is the only life we have that we're given. And I'm proud of you for making the most, and I'm proud of you of where you've been and accomplished. And I know those road bumps are not easy. I can't imagine, but I applaud you so much for being strong
Thank you.
and
That's
kicking
so
ass.
nice. That's so
So
nice. Thanks.
thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. If you ever want to come on again, it's always open. And if you want to plug any of your social medias, or if you have any messages that you want to say to the people as we end this, the floor is yours. No? Okay.
No.
That's it. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys ever have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments below. If you guys ever have any follow up questions or anything like that, you can always ask or hit me up on any social medias at Landlock Entertainment. That's it.
Yeah, that was
Thank
great.
you.
That was good.
Thank you guys for watching. Hope you're doing open notes while you're watching this. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, all that good jazz. I think I usually say something else, but kind of just because. That's it. I appreciate you. Oh my goodness.